Hello, and welcome to another week at the bungalow. So we've got some wall chasing to do today. Back boxes are going in for all the sockets. So first things first, laser into every room, and we're marking a sort of 1 metre above finished floor level datum. So then we can mark our sockets in the right place in every room. So we're getting them nice and even. Also light switches at around 1.2 metres off the ground. I think sockets we did at 450 from finished floor level. All of which is pretty standard. So yeah. So pretty laborious. But nevertheless made a lot easier by the old self-leveling laser. And then into the kitchen, and slightly higher in here because obviously the sockets are going above the work surface. So as you can see, we're going slightly higher than the original ones, just to try and tuck them up and out of the way so that the cables and stuff don't hit the upstand on the work surface. So we're marking the locations of all the different sockets and switches, and then for every socket that's below service level we've got an isolator going above. So I think this is one of the sockets that are going as were behind the bedside tables in third bedroom. So as a rule we're measuring out 350 from corners to try and get them to all look even, but on this one we're obviously coming out a bit further. So pretty much work around every room, marking out sockets, switches, ready for the next stage. Then once we've got all the boxes marked, go round, pilot hole in the centre. This is for the core drill, which takes out the vast majority of the material in the centre. Works great on these sort of walls, works great on the blockwork walls. Getting through the plaster, it's great. Does struggle a bit with the brickwork. Well, say struggle a bit. You can get through the plaster, and that's about it. Once it's gone through the plaster, it's the old school method of angle grinding. But as you can tell here, for the block work, it's absolutely brilliant. Grinds through like a good one. Checking the depth. So we've got 35mm back boxes. Where we've got plaster walls like this, we're obviously finishing the boxes pretty much flush. On the blockwork walls, we're leaving them proud by about 10mm, so the plasterer can plaster up to them. And then we'll make our way around with the angle grinder, chopping all round to give us our edges to work to. It's just messy. The dust is immense. We've got eye protection, ear protection, and the old mask on. But as you can see, it's just clouds of dust. All the doors and windows are open, trying to shift it out of the house, but just have to sort of carry on really. Keep going up until you can't see very well. And then these are the brickwork ones, real pain. So after you've gone around the edge with the angle grinder, we pretty much slice them down to try and cut into the brickwork as much as possible, because the core drill just won't drill into it, you'll end up breaking it. So we had these sort of walls in the kitchen walls are brickwork, and a few walls in the lounge, or a couple of the walls in the lounge. All the new stuff we built was obviously blockwork. But yeah, this is the internal wall, central supporting one, back of the chimney. And then these boxes, which are going to be behind a TV or wall mounted TV, it just all went wrong. We ended up landing on the joint between the old house and the new extension that we didn't build. So we ended up getting the metal, stainless steel metal joining piece. So it ended up having to be moved. So just to make it nice and simple, put it into the block work. Another brickwork wall. So on this one we've gone horizontally and vertically with the slicing, trying to sort of cube it up. It's still a pain. I don't know what the easy route is. Maybe somebody can tell me how to do these properly. And then in the block work, once the angle grinding's done and we've taken the core out with the core drill, they chip out lovely with the chisel on the STS drill. Makes life loads easier. And even the old 1950s breeze block, or biscuit as Claire calls them, because it just absolutely disintegrates. They're just so soft, it's unbelievable. They chisel out nicely. And then a bit of fettling with the hand tools, knocking the edges, getting the last bits out so we can offer up the back boxes and see how they fit. So you run around the house with this, going into all of them, checking they're sort of roughly there or thereabouts, before the real dirty job of chasing up through the plaster with the double bladed angle grinder to put the chasings in for the cabling. The room starts clear of dust and then it just absolutely fills in about half a chase. So windows open and you just keep going. I think it might be my worst job, I think. And then once the chasing's done, back with the STS with the chisel on it, and we'll knocking out the plaster work or block work to give us our trough to put our cables in. And then we can finally put the back boxes into place. So we're knocking out whichever cutout fits to the chase best. Once the knockout's done, rubber grommet goes in, protect the cabling, and then we use the central hole or pilot drill that was used for the core drill raw plug goes in there and then it gets screwed in with that middle screw. Once the plaster has been round and plastered them all in, you never know any different. Of course there's always a bit of fettling to do. Unavoidable. You think you've done them all and you think they're all right, and then you have to go back over it again. And then on the blockwork ones like this, tend to take just a little knockout so we can get the cable round. Once again, raw plug goes in, hammered home, and then the back box is screwed in. The cables are run up the wall on the blockwork with trunking over the top, and then here where we've got the chases in the wall for the cables, the plasterer will be sealing the cables in place. But you'll see that in a later video. There we go. All the cable drops are in place. Back boxes are done. All the way around in all the rooms. Upstairs will be slightly different because it's all timber. We'll run the cables through the stud work, and then back boxes will be put into the plasterboard when we get to that stage. So really it's the downstairs with all its solid walls that are the biggest problems and create the most work. So it was a week's work with simple tools. So we've got the SDS drill, the double angle grinder or the wall chaser, chisel, SDS drill bit for the centre, and then the core drill. Kept us out of trouble for a week. So as I leave you with the last few pictures of what I've been up to, I thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.